Hello, everybody. You can see we got the old man Tony there. He looks a little, uh, you look a little faded there. You look like you might have a sunburn there, Tony.
I might. You never can tell.
Might have a sunburn. All that white hair, it's blinding me. It's blinding me.
Well, you know what? I was beginning to ask you, did you add some special lights or something up there? There's kind of a shine up there in this area of your head.
It is actually. I have all these RV lights on here. We're sitting in the RV right now, so we're getting a little bit of light. I actually have a good sized fan on me too because it's like living on the sun out there here in Tennessee.
Right.
It's we're in southern Tennessee now. You got a tropical storm headed your way. Is that true, or hurricane?
Well, they're actually saying that it's going to be a major hurricane by the time it gets along or hits the Gulf Coast, wherever it's going to hit. It's going to they're the cone right now is supposed to be from basically Mobile back to the other side of New Orleans, but so you never can tell.
What are your y'all under a hurricane watch or anything yet?
No, they said that it wouldn't actually be here till sometime around Sunday evening.
Are
So
y'all
usually a tropical storm watch or a hurricane warning or even a hurricane watch is usually a 48-hour thing. So we'll probably hear something more maybe Friday evening or something like that.
are y'all coming north if that happens? Or what are you gonna do?
Oh no, fella. You know me.
Well, if it's a three, y'all better get out of there.
Nah. You know me,
Uh,
I've wrote them all out.
you go
It
up there
didn't
and sit. Y'all
involve
can
me.
go up there and sit with Jim at his place. Uh, Everybody, Medina's in the other room. She's chickening it out tonight. She's gonna let me and Tony sit over here. She's gonna talk to you, but she's watching the boys, as she says. Um,
Yeah, she's watching us. I understand.
um, did you have a chance to watch my the last week when I talked about the Morphew Barry Morphew case and the preliminary hearing?
I I actually did watch it. I didn't get to watch all of it, but there sure is something I'm anxious to debate you on
Well,
this evening about
uh,
what I saw.
yeah, uh, you know, I had mentioned to Tony that, when they got into that preliminary hearing about finding the partial DNA on the glove box, her glove box that had sex offender, a sex offender that, well, a unknown sexual assault offender in a couple of big cities. I think Tempe, Arizona was one, and a couple of other cities. And it was enough to identify the sexual offender. But I'm gonna get your take on that, and we'll talk
You
about it.
might you might not like my take on it, but
Well, no, I
we'll
want your
see.
take. I believe that the DA's, I hope the DA has more. This last week, this is what I told him. The judge that sits up there in the preliminary hearing, and Tony and me both have done hundreds, if not thousands, of them in our career. The judge is a finder of fact. Now, he may or may not have a copy of the affidavit, rest affidavit, but he's really supposed to only judge on what they say and he hears in the preliminary hearing. That's all they judge on. They're not going to pass it like in our courtroom. Once you get the DNA, I mean, once you get a preliminary, they'll bind it to a grand jury. They're not doing a grand jury in Colorado because of COVID. So that if it's up to the judge whether he sends it to trial or not. So, Tony, what's your opinion?
From what I understood, the judge did rule it to go to trial.
No, he rules it the 17th of September. And what he's going to do, he's going to hear arguments from the state and the defense on September the 17th. and it will be there. He didn't rule either way.
Okay, I come across something when I was looking up the name. When you was telling me, it popped up something. I just noticed in the search feed that the case had been bound over for trial by order of the judge. It was on some news network or something.
No, that it's been. They've said it. They've already said it. I read every bit of that Lauren Sharp put out, and they are going
Okay.
to decide September 17th. But one thing that you may not know, and the judge, the district court judge that did the preliminary hearing, is the same one that signed the arrest affidavit. So he's already seen the arrest affidavit. So he
Now, is
might.
he the same judge that also did the search warrants?
I don't know.
Hmm. That'd be
Don't know.
interesting to know too.
Yeah. September 17th will be the day that they do arguments, and they decide. He will decide on that day.
Well, the thing that stuck in my mind about what you brought out in your last show, and unfortunately, I hadn't been tagging along with this case. I remember you and I talking about this several months ago about this case, so I kind of remember a little bit about it. This was the one where, correct me if I'm wrong, they even had an elderly woman that was a witness because he had a construction company and she overheard the construction going on at night or something. And then
That's
also
correct.
this was the same victim that's supposed to have had a bike that was found down the road from the location, and this was the one also something about either a tiger, leopard, or panther or something was speculated as being the possible thing that she was grabbed by an animal and pulled off the roadway or whatever. Is this not correct?
This that was what Barry, the husband, said, possibly
Right.
a lion. But get this now, in the preliminary hearing, it was discovered that she was having a year and a half long affair with a guy
Oh,
in another state. They traveled to New Orleans and various places together. They had a relationship affair, a full blown affair for a year and a half. So that builds motive for the husband to be involved in it. But what they put in what my fear is, and I'm probably one of the biggest supporters of putting this guy in jail forever, but in the preliminary hearing, I never heard one thing that came out during that hearing that would be enough in our court to get it bound over for trial. But you go ahead and tell me what you think about it.
well, I was interested in your dissection in your last show, and I wrote it down somewhere. I know, well, but I can remember it was around at 33 minutes. You had brought out a argumentative basis of the DNA, and you stated that DNA, there was only a few ways that DNA could be recovered, and you also said something about I remember it led into planting of evidence of DNA, something to do with whether or not it was a question of law enforcement officer possibly planning something, and you don't think that would have ever taken place or wouldn't have been possible. But the thing that I was curious about, can you explain to me more about DNA from your perspective? I'm kind of curious to wonder why you gave that interpretation of DNA.
Well, what I said was at the time, if I remember correctly, you can have touch DNA, you can have DNA through blood, semen, or hair follicles, skin
Mm-hmm.
follicles, all that kind
Mm-hmm.
of stuff. But what they did, they checked, and this is kind of thing that muddied the water for me. They checked her car, the glove box, her glove box. They found DNA, not Barry's DNA, not Suzanne's
Mm-hmm.
DNA, but DNA, a partial DNA of an unknown sex offender that he's committed several rapes or sexual offenses in several large cities throughout the country. So that kind of man throws a big monkey wrench. I mean, that is a perfect out for the
Let me ask you
defense.
about this, because this is what I do not know. Maybe you can clarify me on this scenario. With this collection of DNA, did they say what kind of DNA it was that they collected?
I never heard that. If it maybe somebody here could tell us, I just heard that it was DNA. Also, get this: they had a unknown DNA that's not the husband's, not Suzanne's, found on the seat of the bike and on the grips of the bike.
Mm-hmm.
So, here's the thing. I'm not saying Barry's not guilty. What I'm saying is he probably had an accomplice, is what I think. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that accomplice could have been a sex offender. Who knows? Hello, Melinda. How you doing? I hate to see you leave, but I understand. Um, but, just that DNA out there throws a monkey wrench, I think, in the state. They never did explain. They said they actually followed up on trying to find out whose DNA it was, but they don't know. They don't
Okay.
know whose DNA.
Well, it would be interesting to know what type of DNA that they actually recovered. And just for clarification of what DNA can be recovered, just for the sake of the understanding, based on what you told in the last thing, and I want to make it clear for everyone. DNA in itself can be contained in blood, can be contained in semen, skin cells, tissue, organs, muscle, brain cells, bone, teeth, hair, saliva, mucus, meaning boogers, and perspiration, fingernails, urine, feces, um, a number of things is what I'm trying to say. And then it's important to understand what type of DNA that they actually recovered, simply because for us as crime scene investigators, there's basically two types of DNA. There's I can never pronounce right, autosoma chromosomes, or the sex determining chromosomes, which it depends on what they actually got, because obviously this is what's found in the nucleus to formulate these DNA. Now, one thing about certain DNAs, you even have exceptions to somebody has identical twins or something like that, then they can have the same DNA. And I remember you bringing out something about, seemed like it was, you said something about that if someone that might have been a mechanic or somebody that worked in the car, because I remember something about this DNA, found in the car and all this other stuff. But simply put, I want to cover something. Hypothetically, depending on the type of DNA that was recovered, let's say hypothetically that you found a hair fiber. It is remotely possible for hair, if somebody's going down the road in a car and they got their windows down and they're in front of Joe Schmuckatelli in front of them, and their hair comes out of that car, it can be sucked into the window and go into the other people's car. It's possible. So when you come down to collection of DNA evidence and you try to go back and you say, well, why did this particular piece of evidence come into this crime scene? That's why it's important to know what type of DNA was actually collected. And then two, you do need to kind of understand how the DNA could or may have gotten there through, going through a hypothesis. Now, the thing that I know that we as a police investigator, our job is to merely put together the fact finding of whatever case that we're working, including evidential things such as DNA. But I know with you, you have a lawyer side of you. And so for you, you're always looking at the defense posture, or how could somebody get off on a technicality or whatever. And I get that. I understand that. But for the sake of law enforcement, our job is to bring all the evidence before a jury and the judge and the district attorney, and then allow them the opportunity to, bring out what's important, and then the web, if you will, understanding why this is tied to this and this is tied to that and all that kind of stuff. We're merely there to do the collection. So I understand where you were coming from on saying that there's reasonable, or at least you can articulate reasonable doubt. But for the sake of the argument, everybody has always been known to roll their windows down. Everybody's been known to have car washes, mechanics, whatever, go into cars. You've got people that you get, let's say you go to the grocery store and you get whatever you get and you put it back in your car. There is a very slight possibility of someone else's DNA getting into your car that way. But again, we're looking at hair fibers or things like that. One thing that we know for sure, if we find things such as blood DNA at a crime scene that does not match a victim on a crime scene, and there's another type of blood there, that is obviously a very keyed part of an investigation. If you have a victim that was an unfortunate victim suffering from some sort of sexual assault, then if there's DNA within the body or on the body, those things are very, spot on in regards to that. And so I just wanted to clarify that. I think it's important for everybody to understand maybe why you had a point of view from an attorney's perspective because of all your education. But then where I come in, I know a lot about, collecting DNA from being a death investigator and a crime scene processor. So it's important to understand there is two sides to the coin of the argument, but for the principle of law enforcement, that is why, we are going to collect, and we're supposed to collect various things. Another thing too that's important about DNA that most people maybe don't know, touch DNA actually can be recovered as, I think, somewhere around 35 to 38 days that it can actually exist outside in the outside, environment. So doorknobs and things like that. It is possible to collect that. I know that some people will say, well, my goodness, I had a burglary. Why didn't the police then collect that DNA, on this doorknob or whatever else? Unfortunately, there's priorities in regards to how certain crime scenes are processed. When you have murder scenes and things like that, that evidence is more important to get, and the resources would be, I guess you'd say, expended to whatever necessary to try to investigate those kinds of cases. Whereas I'm not saying that burglary is not important, because I obviously love doing burglary investigation through my career, and I love being able to bring things back to people that they thought they were going to be lost forever, especially like family heirlooms and things like that. But again, we might only do fingerprinting on a crime scene for that, or we might have video evidence or whatever. When it comes down to investigating those things, also going to pawn shops, all the rendition things, that other types of ways that we investigate cases. So that's something important to bring out, I think, certain cases are investigated certain ways. Not saying that we don't have a baseline, if you will, of kind of knowing, well, we got to cross our A, B, C, D part of the outline of investigating, but there are some cases that you go into different parts of an outline you wouldn't normally go into in another type of investigation. So I think that's very important to talk about in this particular case, simply because this is a homicide investigation. And it would be very interesting to me, at least, if I knew what type of DNA did they recover? Was that perspiration, sweat, hair? What exactly was it? I don't know. So
I think it was touch DNA. I think, but no, let me say a few things. Maui, you said remember somebody, a bunch of people touched the bike. That was what Barry said. I don't believe anything Barry says, but I'm not just saying. The thing, the problem I see with the state, and looking at Tony's right. I went 2 years to law school. I didn't go a year and a half to law school. I didn't finish because I got really burnt out because they tell you in law school it's not about guilt of innocence. It's about getting your client off, and I can't deal with that. I was already been a cop 15 years, and I couldn't justify in my mind getting off a child molester at all costs. I just couldn't do it. Now, they found DNA. This brings to up two points. Uh, we don't know when her car was last worked on in the garage. We don't
mhm.
know if somebody was in there. The car was in the garage and they had touched DNA. But the key to this is this: this DNA, the partial DNA, was enough of DNA to say that DNA belonged to a person that had committed several sexual assaults in several major cities around the country. Now, that's not to say that's him, but it's enough of a partial DNA to say that that's who they were looking at. Now,
All right. Now, let me ask you this before you go any further with
okay,
that. With this guy's DNA, whoever this guy is, um, they already know whose DNA that is, or that is merely evidence that's been collected from
suspect.
other cases that are still cold cases or whatever.
Right. It is a suspect. There's a suspect, a
Okay.
serial rapist, serial
Right.
whatever, that is hitting various cities around the country. His DNA or a partial of his DNA was found in her car. Now, I'm not saying that it's actually that guy, but when the defense gets it on stage up there and they have their expert witnesses and everything,
Mhm.
that may be enough to create reasonable doubt. That's all I'm saying. Now, hopefully, that the state will get some high dollar, high paid expert DNA guys to say that that was maybe one of 1,000 people that had that partial DNA. I don't know. I don't know how that is. The bike, or it could have been it could actually have been an accomplice of Barry. I really
Mhm.
believe that Barry did it or had an accomplice with him that did it. I don't
Mhm.
know. It's just an unknown. It was an unknown. Now, the bike was not the same DNA that was found in the car. That's another
Right.
thing. It was an unknown DNA. They don't know. It could have been somebody that was looking at the bike when it was recovered from the sheriff's deputy and went out there and touched it or whatever. Who knows? I don't know. Barry said that because Barry's friend had told him that. What I said was this: I didn't, after watching and going through every one of these things that were reported from the preliminary hearing, I just didn't see. There was no testimony in the notes that Lawrence Sharp provided. There was no testimony of how he did it. There was no testimony of where the body could be. There's no testimony of. Now, they did find a lid from a tranquilizer dart in the washing machine. Wait just a second. They found they have him apparently on video take, and this is a big thing. I think it would be a big evidence against him. It's circumstantial evidence at the very least. They have him on video throwing away an unknown items at about 5 or 6 trash big dumpsters between his house and Bloomfield, the one where he has the chlorine smelled room. If you remember about
Hmm.
that, he did throw away different
Yeah, because
items.
it's something. It was something about the hotel he stayed in was
Right,
had a lot of chlorine or Clorox smell or something.
right, and he was seen on. They had him on. See, they got his GPS on his truck. They followed it where he apparently pulled over, dumped various items out at dumpsters all the way up there. Now, I'm going to tell
Hmm.
you, as gross as it is, he could have killed her and dismembered the body and did that, threw these out. He could have thrown away evidence. They found a unspent shell, a 22 shell, in their bed, in the covers of the bed. It was not a spent
Really?
22. Now, there was no blood recovered in the house, no evidence of a struggle in the house. The door of the bedroom appeared to be at one time being kicked in or whatever. Uh, but
Did they
what we
say
have
they ever? Did they ever say if they recovered blood from the bike or anything?
no blood from the bike at all, no blood, period. The
Okay.
helmet or anything. One thing they did have was it was obvious through messages on the phone. They didn't recover her phone, but messages on his phone that Suzanne wanted to leave him. She was in love with this guy. They recovered messages between her and the guy that she was having the affair with. She wanted to actually leave him and get married to this guy. Um, a whole lot of stuff that. So obviously they were going through serious money issues and marriage issues. But and I think they can build a pretty good circumstantial case.
Hmm.
But just speaking from the attorney point of view, I'm not an attorney. Let me get that out. But from the law school point of view, that I did go to law school, is that um, in my criminal law class, for instance, they teach you how to muddy the water. If
Hmm.
your case is great against you or a circumstantial case, and you can throw in this unknown DNA from a sexual offender that's done all this stuff all over the nation, then
Hmm.
all they need is one juror to say, that's enough for reasonable doubt for me not to convict him. And that's what I'm saying. You got, here's what I believe happened. I'll just tell you. I believe that he found out about the affair. He confronted her. They had an argument. She said, I want a divorce. He said, nope, not getting divorced. He kills her. You don't have to have blood to strangle her or suffocate her with a pillow. Who knows? And then he either dismembered her body or buried her body or something somewhere. We don't know. He had a lot of time where he turned his phone on airplane mode. But I
Hmm.
understand that you can still track it if it's on airplane mode, is what I've been told. Uh, but so, but when they get in court, you know, all they got to do is establish some doubt,
Hmm.
you know. But I think he did it. That's me.
Well, that's why and listening to you, I'm just like, yep, you need to take that attorney hat off and put your law enforcement cap back on. So,
Well, the thing is, that's one reason I left law school and I didn't become an attorney. I didn't take the bar is because I couldn't justify getting criminals off, especially like pedophiles, stuff like that. And if you're appointed to a case, you got to take it. You can't, hey, Judd, I don't, you just can't take, do that. But I think the state's going to have, and this was brought up too by CBI, Colorado Bureau of Investigation guys. They recovered the DNA. The DNA, partial DNA, was belonged to the sex offender, and I'm telling you, all they need is one, and we have seen some jury trials, go lopsided, how you see somebody get off, you know. So I don't know.
Yeah, I just still wonder. You would have thought that they would have been able to recover a data pack or whatever on her phone and at least kind of got the last location of where it was or something. Um,
Well, they did find the last location her phone was pinged was in her house, and
okay.
the charger and the phone were gone. Now, here's
Okay.
one thing: if somebody says the prosecution is holding back the big guns, well, they are, but a prosecution during preliminary hearing, the judge is, and this is what I said, the judge is not supposed to, under the court, consider for his deciding whether it goes to grand jury or to trial, is not supposed to consider anything outside of what's presented in the preliminary hearing. Now, if they
Hmm.
did, if they were able to put the affidavit into evidence, that may be something that he can look at, but
Hmm.
he can't just take off on a wild hair and say, well, I believe they're going to do all this other stuff in trial, so I'll go ahead and send it. He's not
Hmm.
supposed to do that anyway.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I
Very
mean,
interesting.
I have presented at grand jury, at preliminary hearings, and what they ask you is this: this is how picky the judges are at preliminary hearings. They'll ask you, did that crime occur? Like we worked in Baldwin County. Did that crime occur in this city limits, in Baldwin County, and in the state of Alabama? That's how picky they are. You got to say yes to all those three things. If you do not, the defense will stand up at the end and say, Judge, we request a dismissal because the prosecution did not establish that this even happened in Alabama or in his jurisdiction. I've seen it done. They've dismissed the case. So you can't say the judge is sitting there saying, well, I'll consider all this other kind of stuff that they
Hmm.
have. He's got to establish any only stuff he hears in the hearing, unless the arrest
Right.
affidavit is put into evidence. And
Right.
I look at it both ways. Dina used to say when I was in law school that I'm the worst of both worlds. I'm half on the legal side and half on the police side. But that's just listen. Nobody. Hello, Gonzo. Good to see you. Nobody wants to see Barry Morphew in jail more than me. Nobody. I don't care who you are. I think he belongs in jail. I believe in the death
Yeah.
penalty should be reenacted. But if you don't prove it in court, he ain't gonna be, and that's just how it is. And I really, really hate that they didn't get more nitty gritty down to the nitty gritty. But they may release the arrest affidavit this week, maybe, or next week. And if they do that, then we can take it and pick it apart and see. And I want you back on if that is the case for sure.
Well,
Um,
at least my opinion of preliminary hearings is really for the basis of the defense
mhm,
to work apart any evidence against their client, um,
you're right.
and then the grand jury. Well, the old saying is still just as solid as it is today as it was 30 years ago. You can indict a ham sandwich.
That's correct.
So, um, simply put, the trueness of a case really doesn't come out in its entirety, or at least most of the time anyway, is until it actually goes to trial. But we do live in more of a technology way of life now that video and other things will be put out to the public long before even a trial assumes anything against anybody, and then you'll have the old infamous public opinion uh, side to convict someone before they even have a jury trial.
Yeah.
So
Somebody said let the
it
jury
is,
decide. Yeah, I hope so. I hope the jury does get it. Personally, I think if the state feels like they don't, maybe they may offer him a plea. They may offer him 30 years possibility of parole.
mm,
he won't do it. He won't take it because he's too narcissistic, about it. But we'll discuss it more when we have the rest affidavit, or if it goes any further. I do want to, Tony, you froze just for a second there. You're back. I do want to discuss a couple other cases and let you tell me what you think. These are kind of weird stuff. First, we want to mention that this little boy here is still missing. Michael Vaughn is still missing, and I believe to this day that he's been abducted. But we want to keep him. He is still missing out there. They are still searching for him. And
Where is that?
Fruitland,
Where's-
Idaho.
Oh,
Fruitland,
wow.
Idaho. And of course, Summer Wells is also still missing, and nothing has came up. No arrests have been made in that case. 5-year-old. These are both 5-year-olds, Tony, that are missing. This Summer Wells case it's a gigantic cluster, gigantic.
Really?
But they're
Kind
still
of like a
working on that.
Benet Ramsey kind of case?
It's no, you just have to go and read some of that. I believe the missing situation comes with the family. It's I believe it that she never was the family's saying she was abducted. I don't believe it, but because of just how the house was situated.
Right.
This is something they said though they had published. They made a thing according to the FBI Bureau Investigation report in 2009. 89% of abductions by non-family members are killed within 24 hours of appearing, and 76 of the murders of child were killed within 3 hours. And that's sad to say, but unfortunately that's how it is. I do want to discuss one other case, but I do want to mention these two. Well, also these guys are still missing also out of Bakersfield, California. No updates have been received on them. Also, nothing else on that. I'm very surprised that an arrest has not been made in that case.
Wasn't that the one that they had like a block house and a fence behind it or
Yeah,
something?
that's it.
I think, yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think personally, I don't think
I
we
am
ever.
I am old. I am old, but I kind of still have my memory.
You do have your memory. Uh, this girl here is a 16-year-old Shelby County girl was reported missing. This is out of Shelby County, Alabama. She is missing up there. Um, they're asking for anybody around Alabama, Shelby County, Birmingham area to keep on the lookout for her. This also is a 17-year-old from Pulaski, Tennessee that's missing also. And we actually, from where we're at, it's only 30 miles northeast or northwest of where we are staying currently today. Um, she has been missing also. All right. This right here is a weird case. These two are age enhancements right here. Chloe Leverett and Gage Daniel. Now, this is what happened. This
I'm
kind
gonna
of,
put my glasses on to see this.
yeah.
It's too small.
Well, you just told Tony. Uh, they had a house caught on fire. I'll get another. Let me get the big pictures of it, and I'll tell you what happened. This is the
That's
age
better. Thank you.
and the as they were in the age progression. Uh, the facts are this: these two were staying with their grandparents, and their house caught on fire, which they kind of believe is arson. They found the bodies in the fire of the grandfather, the grandmother, the dog, and even a pet bird. But the children were not, their bodies, remains were not found. Not a tooth, not a bone, not anything. The fire scene has been searched multiple times by forensic teams from the FBI, the TBI, I think it was Tennessee, yes, TBI, and others, and not one thing of the children have been found. Now, I believe they were kidnapped out of the house before the fire, and they started the fire to destroy the evidence. However, the grandparents were found in a in bed, I believe. So it wasn't like they were
Did they
around the house
find?
and were
Did
covered.
they do? I'm assuming they did autopsies to determine if they were shot,
Yeah,
stabbed, or anything
I
like
think
that.
they died of smoke inhalation. Um, but the parent said they would have died fighting. Talking about the grandparents would have died fighting for her children. Basically, said I don't believe the fire was the cause of it because
Right.
there was no way anybody would have gotten to those babies without killing them. For anyone that has any idea where the children are, they're appealing that they may have been kidnapped and are being held, of course, against their will. They said just pick up the phone basically and call in the tip. Um, when the children went missing, Daniel was battling addiction from which she came full circle and now serves as a certified peer counselor. I think this is the actual mother or father of the children they were talking about that. What
Right.
matters now is getting the children home. Um, Daniel said, continuing, nobody should ever have to go through this, and they would love to see them put themselves in my shoes. Where this Daniel, I think, is either the mother or the father. I'm not. Uh, but basically, it's happening in September 23rd or 24th in 2012, according to the information that I had. Let me see. It's the same thing. I mean, it's just bizarre. I mean, not a single thing recovered. Nothing, not a tooth, not a morsel, not anything. Daniel said. Um, and see, Gage Daniel was the son of uh, of the Daniel they were talking about. The prompt that prompted the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation Amber Alert. Nearly 9 years later, they still consider these missing person cases not a death investigation. Last year, TBI shared age progression photos of Chloe and Gage, who would be 16 and 18 now. I
Mm.
talked, and here's what it says: I talked to a crematorium, and they said that uh, to cremate a body, it must be 5,000 degrees. And this is the mother who's talking. My mom
Mm.
and dad's house were burnt at 1,800 degrees, is what the fire marshal has said. And even
Mm.
after they cremated bodies, there was still muscle, or there might have been a couple of bones or teeth that they had to grind up. Um,
Mm.
that something would have been left. And so they're saying the debris from the debris field, nothing was left. And I don't believe that the kids burn up in the fire at all. So,
Mm.
something like that happens where you have a fire of a house and these kids are missing, but you found all the bones of the grandfather, the grandmother, you find bones of a dog and a bird. It can't be that hot enough not to burn up somebody else. The fire can't be that hot and still keep the bones of a bird, you know?
Right. Well, did they say what was the cause of the incineration, as in
No,
what
no, I
chemical
haven't.
or anything?
All that I went and looked back through this case as far as I could, and right now they're calling it unknown cause. They're not calling it arson even.
Oh
So, but
wow.
they have an unknown cause. You have the grandfather and grandmother dying basically of smoke inhalation, but the kids were not there and not, they can't prove that the kids were harmed. I want y'all to watch this. This
Well, they should have at the very least had a point of origin
Yeah, this
the
is
fire and
crawling
stuff
up
like
in my
that.
lap right now. Okay, this is crawling up in my lap. Uh, this is our big cat Moses. He's trying to get my attention today. He's been in my lap twice. He says, "Hey, maybe time to get off here." Um, but as soon as the affidavit comes out, Tony, I want you to come on because you've done many of them and I've done many of them, and we can take a look at. Even though Colorado is definitely a different thing, but I believe the district attorney out there is well capable of handling this case. There's not, there's no, I mean, there's no doubt she can do the case, but I'm just not sure. Even with her being a great prosecutor, it is not sure that 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 little won't throw a monkey wrench in it, having different DNA in there. What's your shirt say? Retired police officer 2019. Well, where did you get that? I'd like mine to give me one that has my date on there.
My wife got it. I have to go back and see if I can find out where we got it. I'll find out and try to
You're
let you
better.
know.
You're better half. You're definitely better half.
Oh, absolutely, definitely my better half.
um,
Yeah, I think we could have a race though for the cats. I have a very large kitty cat.
he gets in his mind to sit
Tay,
up here.
bring me Gilbert.
Gilbert,
Let you see Gilbert. Oh, he's not sleeping. His head's up over there. No, he's right here behind you. He's right here behind you. Hold on a second.
okay,
I'm
go get
getting.
Gilbert.
Yeah, we'll let you see Gilbert. He's pretty big
Hey, I'm
boy.
sorry.
We even call him Big Boy.
Yeah, big boy. I
Are you
tell
gonna
this.
come around me? All right, there's Big Boy. Let's see. There's Big Boy.
Oh my goodness. Let's see. What kind is he? I mean, is he a?
He's
Not
what they
big cat.
call a tabby cat.
Yeah.
See him?
He is an
Yeah.
orange and white.
He's a big old boy.
Yeah. And then we have a long-haired American cat, similar to yours that you're holding there, but she's like a
She's kind of like
Chick-fil-A.
a tuxedo cat.
Yeah, she's like a Chick-fil-A cat.
She's
Well,
like
She looks like a little
Moses,
cow. I don't know where she's at. Do you know where she's at?
I think Moses weighed 22 pounds the last time we weighed him.
Well, Gilbert here, he's weighed like 24 pounds, I think, before. But he's actually lost some weight.
Here.
Huh?
We had somebody post this. Doesn't really the missing. They're talking about the Maya Millette case. We did cover some of that, but I tell you, AK and a bunch of those guys in Gonzo covered that case so well that I did not actually even pursue a lot of it. Yeah, Moses, my boy, he wants to come up here every once in a while and
Here's our other one. Let you see this one.
can't believe I'm a cat guy, you believe it or not, though. Oh wow, that is a big one.
And she don't like it when they put them in front of each other like we're
Yeah,
seeing if they'll spar or something.
yeah. All right, well, I will. We'll let you go, guys. Tony, thanks for coming on, and we hope to get you back anytime.
Okay.
They like to see you, as long as you still have hair and it don't fall out. Uh, seriously, we'll get you back on. And everybody says, I don't know if you can see the comments there. They're all saying, "Great to see you, Tony." And
I'm just enjoying retirement. You got to understand.
yeah, absolutely. We both of us are. we're not going to talk about what I did today, but we'll talk about more about that later. When are you going to get your channel up and running? I don't see your channel up and running.
Yes, I know, and I have honestly I've been studying the Bible a lot right now here lately about a bunch of different things. It's taken up.
I understand. Well, listen, I'm going to let you go, and we will catch up. May even call you on the phone one night, and we'll sit down and chew the fat. And there's a good possibility I'll be down there the end of next month for a doctor's appointment, but I probably won't be seeing anybody because COVID is big time down there right now. But you're frozen, Tony, so I'm going to cut you out of here. But just watch the comments. I'm sure everybody has said. I've seen a lot of people say that they're glad to see you. So we lost Tony there. He froze up on me. Hold on just a minute. Cat. I need this cat to get off of me. Moses, you're needing me right now. You want to get off of me right now? Moses. I don't know if y'all can see this. Moses has got an issue with me right now. Okay. Maybe he don't. He don't want to get up. But I'll have Tony back. I sure will. And then I tell you, Moses, I tell you what, don't think you do not think my pets are spoiled rotten. They are. But Moses here, he's a good boy, and he doesn't get near enough time with me in my lap as he used to. But somebody's making pancakes. I could actually make pancakes right now, even though I ate Mexican today. I'm still kind of hungry, but I'm going to get out of here. Thanks all of y'all for coming tonight. I'd appreciate it if you give us a thumbs up, but I'd appreciate it a lot more if you would subscribe to the channel. And go over, if you would, and subscribe to our RV channel. Right there is it's running the 1 million mile road trip. Thank God for my moderators. Rhonda, you do a great job. And a bunch, I can't see who all is here and who all is not under moderators because I'm looking at it on the app and I can't tell. But I did see Rhonda come in there at first. I really do. Man, pancakes. Zeta, your husband's making pancakes. Your hubby's making pancakes. I love me some pancakes. If you could see my whole standing up, you'd see why I do. I need to lose some weight. Rhonda, I appreciate you coming in early and putting that stuff out. We would appreciate it if you come over and subscribe to the 1 million mile road trip. We're about 600 and something subscribers, but we hope to see y'all on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central Time. We sure appreciate everybody being here, and who knows, we maybe turn around and have some more videos during the weekend, maybe from our RV channel. Zeta, I have videos of the misadventures in the crazy bus, huge RV. Well, come over and check out our channel too, the 1 million mile road trip. But everybody go out and check out Zeta's channel. We're not what you say, like my father used to say, that I was trying to be hoggish. I'm not trying to be hoggish. We love everybody and we support everybody that's doing a good thing out here. Pray for all the people that have COVID. My friends Sam and Debbie are doing much better, and we just want to support all that. So we hope to see all of y'all on Tuesday. Wait a minute. Okay, go down, Moses. Moses, go. Thank you. And this is a new little page that we're going to start putting up around, that we're going to try to get people to come to the channel. Enjoy it 1 mile at a time. That's what we're going to do. So anyway, we love every one of you guys. I really, really do. And we would appreciate y'all subscribing to our other channel. And if anything we can do for you, let us know. We'll pray for you. I'm gonna put Tony on here. He's gonna wave bye here now to you, and we'll get Tony back on here. Tony's a great friend of mine. He's one of my best friends in the world, and we may not agree on everything, but we do agree on this: that Christ is the answer, and that we support law enforcement. So God bless y'all, and hope to see you next time. God bless.